Betrayal in the Corner Office. Genre: drama/romance/betrayal. Setting: New York City, USA. Chapter 1: The Perfect Couple. On the surface, Ethan and Melissa Carter had it all. A spacious apartment on the Upper East Side, frequent dinner parties with colleagues and friends, and a marriage that looked flawless from the outside. Ethan, 38, was a mid-level executive at a Fortune 500 tech company, working tirelessly to climb the ladder. Melissa, 35, was a former marketing consultant who'd taken a step back to focus on writing a novel, a euphemism for lounging at cafes and scrolling social media most days. They met in college, fell in love fast, and married within 2 years. For a while, they were truly happy. But over time, Ethan's devotion to his job created a growing distance between them. Melissa felt increasingly invisible, her needs pushed aside in the name of ambition. Their conversations turned from laughter to logistics, bills, groceries, Ethan's long hours. She craved attention, validation, excitement. Chapter 2: Enter Julian Blackwell. Julian Blackwell, 44, was Ethan's boss, sharp-dressed, sharp-tongued, and obscenely wealthy. He had a way of commanding every room he walked into. He rarely smiled, but when he did, it felt like an invitation and a warning at the same time. Melissa first met Julian at the company's annual gala. Ethan had been invited for his department's strong quarterly performance, and Melissa tagged along in a sleek black gown she hadn't worn in years. Julian noticed her immediately. "You must be Melissa," he said, shaking her hand and holding it for a beat too long. "Ethan's wife. I've heard about you. But he never mentioned you were captivating." Melissa smiled politely, but the spark was undeniable. From that night on, Julian found reasons to include Ethan's family in more company events. Dinners, openings, retreats. He always made time to talk to Melissa. She began to enjoy it. Those brief moments of intensity, of attention. It wasn't long before they started texting. Chapter 3: Texts turned to secrets. What began as casual exchanges, book recommendations, restaurant suggestions, turned into flirty banter. Then late-night confessions. "I feel like no one really sees me," Melissa once texted. "I see you," Julian replied. Guilt tugged at her, but it wasn't strong enough to stop her. Ethan had grown so absorbed in corporate politics, in impressing Julian, that he'd stopped noticing his wife's fading smile. One evening, Ethan came home late, again. Melissa was already dressed in a soft silk robe, hair tied loosely, eyes glued to her phone. "Big day tomorrow," he said, kissing her on the forehead without really looking at her. "Blackwell's reviewing the promotion list. I think I'm close." Melissa's stomach turned. If he only knew. Chapter 4: Crossing the Line. It happened in Julian's penthouse suite overlooking Central Park. It was supposed to be a business dinner. Julian insisted Ethan had to work late and encouraged Melissa to come instead. The champagne flowed. The city lights sparkled below. And when Julian placed a hand gently on Melissa's lower back, she didn't stop him. When he leaned in and kissed her, she kissed him back. That night was a whirlwind of lust and betrayal. When she returned home, Ethan was already asleep on the couch, still in his work clothes. She stood over him for a moment, heart pounding, wondering how he'd react if he knew. He never suspected a thing. Chapter 5: The Affair. The affair blossomed quickly: secret meetups at hotels, late-night phone calls, stolen glances at company events. Julian was everything Ethan wasn't anymore: attentive, confident, unpredictable. He made Melissa feel wanted, alive. And Julian wasn't subtle. He enjoyed the thrill of knowing his employee's wife was in his bed. There was power in it. Control. Melissa tried to compartmentalize the guilt, to pretend it was just a phase. But feelings deepened. She started comparing everything Ethan did to Julian: his boring routines, his overused work phrases, even his predictable intimacy. One night, Ethan surprised her with tickets to a Broadway show. She smiled, said thank you, and texted Julian during intermission. Trapped with him at a show. All I can think about is you. Julian replied with a smirking emoji. Chapter 6: Suspicion. Ethan wasn't stupid. He began to notice things. Melissa's sudden interest in makeup. The way she smiled at her phone. The mysterious friend she was always texting. One morning, he checked her phone while she was in the shower. The texts were locked, but the notifications were enough. J. Red Heart was all over her screen. His stomach dropped. Julian. It had to be. That day at work, Ethan walked into Julian's office, barely able to contain himself. Is something going on with my wife? He asked bluntly. Julian didn't flinch. Are you accusing me of something, Carter? I'm asking. Julian leaned back in his chair. Maybe if you gave her more of your time, she wouldn't be looking for it elsewhere. That was all the confirmation Ethan needed. Chapter 7: The Confrontation. That night, Ethan confronted Melissa. He didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just looked broken. Why him? He asked, voice trembling. Melissa hesitated. Because he saw me. Because I felt something again. Something I hadn't felt with you in years. Ethan's eyes welled with tears. You could have talked to me. We could have worked on it. I tried, she whispered. But you were always too busy trying to impress him. The irony cut deep. Chapter 8: The Fallout. Melissa moved out a week later. Julian put her up in a luxury apartment, furnished it to her taste. For a while, it felt like a fantasy. They traveled, dined in secret, lived dangerously. But things changed. Without the secrecy, the excitement dulled. Julian grew distant, more business-minded. Melissa realized that maybe it wasn't love, it was the thrill of betrayal, the escape from loneliness. Ethan, meanwhile, took a leave from work. He traveled, reconnected with old friends, started therapy. Slowly he began to heal. Chapter 9: The Ending They Deserved. A year later, Melissa ran into Ethan at a bookstore. He looked different, lighter, more at peace. You look good, she said. I feel good, he replied. They talked for a few minutes. No bitterness, no anger. Just two people who had loved each other once but had lost their way. I hope you find what you're looking for, Mel, Ethan said before walking away. Melissa watched him go, heart heavy. Julian had moved on to someone younger. She was alone again. But this time, she wasn't the victim. She was just the lesson. The end.